Hello, hello. Are there people here? Check. Welcome, welcome. I just started a little bit early so people can start joining. There it is. I was looking for a number of live viewers. Currently we are 12. I think around 60 people registered, so just giving it a few minutes to so people can join, take their time. So yeah, we'll start in probably 3 to 4 minutes. I have my chat on my bottom screen and the presentation on my top screen. So currently looking down, but mostly we'll be looking up. So that is nice. Where are you guys from? Bram, probably Dutch. Jeff Hen, not sure. Maybe you can tell me. And just a small check from the early joiners. Is the audio quality okay and the webcam quality okay? Because I'm using this mic, but I'm not sure if it's capturing it right. Probably yes, but some confirmation would be nice. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Bram. Bram. Yes. I was thinking if I pronounce it in English, Bram. Thanks, Mitchell and Dennis. Currently 17 live viewers, 18. So we'll start in around 3:02-ish. Presentation ready. Cloud ready, because obviously going to chat about the MCP as well. And yeah, a friend of mine / a RUMvision client allowed me to use his domain for this webinar. So that's really nice. So we can look at actual data. So thanks, Alex from Grand Cru Wijnen. Few more minutes. What have you guys been up to today? Coding, project managing. I know Lars is a text writer, so he has probably been writing text. Let me test this as well. Prompting, nice. Okay, oh, that's cool. Okay, beautiful. 24 right now, so people are starting to join because it starts at 3, so that's quite obvious now. Prompting, what are you using? Like the new Claude Sonnet 5 or this Fable 5? I've been, for the MCP I'm going to use, I've been using Sonnet 5 because it's a little bit faster and doesn't consume as much tokens as Fable 5, but might be smarter, although I'm not sure if I need something that smart. I mean, all the results I'm getting back are verified, so might still need to find the use case for Fable, but we'll see. Sonnet 5, that's also announced today, right? Because I believe in Cloud I can see my most popular agent is 4.8, and this morning I just saw 5. So that's nice. Good little update. All right, 1 more minute and we are ready to go. It's also being recorded, so if you know from colleagues that are not able to join, I believe I have to do it manually. So when the webinar is done, I get the big MP4 file. I will upload it to YouTube and share the link with everybody that registered. So that should be fine. Check. All right, let's fucking go. Oops. So my screen is here, so I'm going to look up right now. So thanks everybody for coming and joining my RUMvision 2.0 webinar. It won't be just about RUMvision 2.0. We will also talk about some practical performance insights for 2026, because there's a lot of them. Thanks to my colleague Erwin, who got me up on everything, because the last few months I've been working a lot on RUMvision 2.0 and a little bit less on what's new in web performance. So it's also a little bit of learning for me. So we're learning together, I would say. So yeah, for those that don't know me, I've seen all the registrants. I've met a lot of people IRL already, but for those that don't, I'm Jordi Scholing. I'm from the Netherlands, Groningen. 27 years old, co-owner of RUMvision, and I have 2 cats at home. So that's the basic introduction. I've been doing RUMvision for 5 years or so now. Mainly involved in customer success, product development, sales, marketing. You know how it goes in a start/scale up. So a really nice job. And our goal is to make the web faster. And yeah, we do that by using RUMvision and enabling people to use RUMvision as well. So a quick intro of the table of contents. Always doing this. A lot of people might already know, but just a quick run through of the core web vitals, case studies, a typical performance roadmap. People are using the wrong data still, although wrong between brackets, but yeah, that's what I'm going to explain. Then I'm going to screen share RUMvision 2.0, the API, MCP, and ending with some practical insights. So if you have questions in between or want to chat, just type whatever is on your mind. So yeah, some questions I can answer in between. Some I will stall until the end of the webinar. So hey, David and Rebecca, nice that you guys are here. So yeah, first off, core web vitals. I'm going to explain the key metrics. So yeah, this should be general knowledge for now. So there's 5 metrics. So 3 of them are core web vitals. So the largest contentful paint, cumulative layout shift, interaction to next paint. And those 3 are pretty much UX pillars. So large contentful paint is related to loading, cumulative layout shift is related to stability, and interaction to next paint is how fast does the website respond to a user input. And then there's 2 other web vitals, which are not core web vitals, although they are important to the largest contentful paint. So we have the timed first byte, when the service sends back the first byte to the browser, and the first contentful paint when the page is not white anymore. So first contentful paint is also really important from a UX point of view. Time to first byte is back end related. There are some things on the front end that you can do, but it's a little bit where front end meet back end when you're talking about web vitals. So some videos of each metric. So largest contentful paint. In this case, the outlet banner is the largest contentful paint. So when there's a lot of nuances, by the way, but for now, when the outlet banner stops loading or is done with loading, how long did it take? That's the largest contentful paint. If you would already interact with the page, it's going to measure the largest contentful paint from the moment you interact with it, and then that will be the largest contentful paint. So this can vary a lot. CLS, so we have a Media Markt in the Netherlands, which is a really big electronical retailer. And you can see that they are struggling with the largest contentful paint. This is actually nice because I can keep using this video with every presentation I'm doing. But you can see that for some reason they don't put a width and height on the product image. Maybe it's initiated via JavaScript and therefore it's taking longer. When you're looking at the pricing and the stock on the right, there's a lot of shifting happening. So they are having a high CLS score. And then there's interaction to next paint. So click, how long does it take for the browser to give a visual response? I believe, Asana. So when you're interacting with their accordion, probably JavaScript driven, then it's taking a longer time, unfortunately. This needs to be below 200 milliseconds. So it's quite fast, or it should be quite fast. Although I would say 200 milliseconds is even, it can be faster. Then we have timed first byte and first contentful paint. So those should be below 800 milliseconds for the timed first byte and 1.8 for the FCP. So they are not core web vitals, so they don't matter for SEO, but they are important for the LCP. So sort of an honorable mention here. Why they are important? Yeah, a fast website is nice. I think we all can vouch for that. If a website is fast, we're staying on the website longer. It can lead to higher conversions, brand reputation, SEO impact. Should have added GEO impact as well here, because Lighthouse, it's not RUM data, but Google is looking also at CLS for agentic browsing. So it's taking screenshots of the page. If screenshot number 1 looks different than screenshot number 2 because things started to shift around, it doesn't know what to do. It's also helping with remarketing pools because, yeah, you get more data, so scripts can trigger faster. And also for Google Ads. So if you're speaking with clients and they are doubting whether Core Web Vitals is worth it or not, Google is actually using large contentful paint for the quality score on the ad pages or the landing pages. So you can get a higher quality score if you are passing the largest contentful paint. So meaning the LCP is below 2.5 seconds on the 90th percentile. Percentiles will be covered when I start to screen share. Some case studies, and actually might open a new one because John Mueller, the SEO guy from Google, not even sure if he works for Google directly, just dropped a new case study 15 minutes ago. Haven't had the time to read that, but there's more and more evidence showing up every now and then. So Vodafone, they improved their largest contentful paint, increased their sales by 8%. Those are all Google verified case studies. So the client themselves are doing this with Google. So that is nice. Organic traffic, less bounces, more conversion. Sounds great, right? Then we have Ray-Ban. This is a recent one. They enabled speculation rules. For those that don't know, there's a quick summary. Let's say you have a product listing page and you are already hovering with your mouse over a product where you probably want to go. The moment I start hovering on it, depends on which rule you've set, it already starts to load on the background. You can load the page fully, you can get the HTML, you can even pre-render until script, which will be a practical insights at the end of the webinar. But by enabling speculation rules, they saw more conversions, more page views, and less exit rates. There's Trendyol. It's a Turkey company, so they're selling a ton, so 10 billion of revenue. That's crazy. But they improved their interaction to next paint. I believe this was one of the first IMP, interaction to next paint, case studies. So their click-through rate improved with 1% by reducing the IMP with 50%. Not sure what their IMP was first, but it's easier to get from 500 milliseconds to 200 milliseconds than it is when you're dealing with smaller numbers. So all the evidence points to that investing in performance is worth it. And that's why RUMvision has also started to build 2.0, because we think we can make it easier for you to spend time on performance. So a roadmap. I'm dealing with a lot of clients, also a lot of potential clients that are not clients yet, because they all struggle with one thing or multiple things, selling RUMvision, but also a roadmap. And I think you can do a lot more than you expect in very little time. So, so Dutch months, by the way, but people tend to overthink it. But let's say you start with RUMvision, you install the snippet, you wait a week or so, you have a call with me, or you look at the health check or start using the MCP. I bet there will be already 3 to maybe even 10 pointers that you can improve on your website that don't need a lot of time, like adding a fetch priority to your product image so it loads faster. Might be really easy. For some, it will be 1 hour of work. Sometimes it will be 15 minutes of work, depends on which stack you're working with. But in the beginning, you can get a lot of results by just looking at data and health checks. So that's also why we introduced health checks. Not sure if there's a lot of people in the chat that are using RUMvision and already have used health checks. So if you have, please put something in the chat. But yeah, within 1-2 months, you can do a lot, even weeks. Then there's wrong data. Yeah, There's a lot of free tools out there. There's a lot of paid tools out there, but there's a difference between all of them. So RUMvision is a RUM tool. There are more RUM tools. Everybody has their own way of dealing with RUM data. I believe in our way. But we all have the same struggle, and that is that people are not looking at the right data yet, or I don't know why, but trying to explain that right here. But you have this little bleep, which is the Lighthouse score. And if you're a developer, please use it on your staging environment as a sort of a checklist if you followed all the performance best practices. But as soon as you go to production, you don't want to give a crap about this number anymore, because it's not saying you how your users are experiencing your page. It can be completely different from Crux. So if you are on PageSpeed Insights, the Google website, you can enter your URL and you will also get a Crux score. This is already a step towards better data, because you're looking at what your real users are experiencing. There's some downsides to this. For example, it's only Chrome, it's the latest 28 days, and it's the 75th percentile. So the numbers you're seeing here is only data of the fastest 75% of your users, meaning that 25% of your users are having a slower experience than what you're seeing here. It's also not nice that it's behind. So if you fuck up something today, you will know it within 28 days or so. So that is not really nice. And then there's RUM, obviously. It's real time, all browsers, all percentiles, health checks, API, MCP. So this is, in my opinion, the holy grail of data, because it's literally telling you how each individual user, it's segmented, but you could go as far as a single user experience to see how your website is being experienced. So that will be shown in a little bit. I think even here, yes, we are there already. So I'm going to share my screen right now with RUMvision 2.0. I won't have time for a full walkthrough, but I'm going to explain to you the main new features, which will be our future of marketing as well. So is there someone in the chat that has no access to RUMvision yet? Because then you might not recognize this yet. But for those that don't, this is RUMvision. This is our new dashboard. And there's more dashboards within RUMvision. So in order to get real user data, you need to install a small snippet. That's 5 minutes of work. And you need to set up pages to track. So if you've done the setup, the dashboard will start filling within minutes, depending on how much traffic you have on your website. And there is already your first set of data where you could be working with. So my starting point mostly to get an idea of how a website is performing is the audience panel, because this is giving me an idea of how or how the website is performing for a wider set of users. So you can already see there's a lot of numbers here. It's not that intimidating, but you have to know what you're looking at. But you can see P75, P85, and P90. So we as RUMvision believe that most of your users should have a good core vitals within the thresholds. So we are aiming for 90% of your users. And this circular score is showing you how you're performing for the fastest 75%, fastest 85%, and fastest 90% of users. So you can already see that if I would only look at page speed data or only this 75th percentile, there's a big blind spot, because I can see that on the 90th percentile, the UX score starts dropping to 87%. So Grand Cruwijne, shout out to Alexander, he's been dealing with this project, has been caring a lot about web performance. So these are pretty amazing numbers. But you can see that even at a higher percentile, he might still need to work on some things, as he is aware, I believe. On the right, you have the FUX score. So this was already there, but we still found this very, very interesting, because we have a lot of e-commerce clients. E-commerce spends a ton of money on advertisements, campaigns, newsletters, whatever. So you're generating traffic to your website, and a lot of that traffic might be first-time visitors, maybe returning visitors that have been on your website some months ago. But we want to know how fast someone is experiencing your website when they are entering it for first time or have removed their browser history and cache, would be a little bit sus, but you know. Down here we have the same score, we have competitor scores, but in the top UI you can change percentile. So might be worth for Grand Cru Wijn to set their default percentile at 90 because they're already doing really good at P80. So let me do that. So I'm going to change this little setting right here to 90. Save. I believe I need to reload still. Yeah, so everything we are looking at now is based on the P90. So then we have UX scores for each metric because we need a way to build a complete UX score. So we do that by combining all those scores, giving a weight to a specific metric and telling you how it performs. So you can already see that IMP on P90 needs some love and times first byte is at 58%. So those three metrics need some love in order to get the LCP improved and IMP improved. Since this is an e-commerce website, we've also decided to track performance per template. So category, product detail, home, search, cart, and blog, and a little bit on the checkout. You can see there's no FUX score on the checkout because I don't end up in a web shop's checkout without having to ever go through their website or adding a product. So yeah, you can already get a quick overview of where attention might be needed. So in this case, I would start looking at the product detail page. You can click that and then you can see some CLS on the product detail page when looking at the 90th percentile. Next up, Score Up Vitals dashboard. This is more or less a quick overview of how the performance has been going on over time. We have a big data retention, 13 months or so. So let's see for this year how Grand Cru Wijn has been performing. Well, that's pretty solid. You can see times first byte went from 2 seconds to 1.5. Therefore, FCP and LCP also improved. But they've done a lot of work on the interaction to next paint. So usually they would be around 370, sometimes even 500 milliseconds. But since early May, they've been going to 200 milliseconds on the 90th percentile. So they are easily passing the Core Web Vitals. But we can also see some negatives, right? So CLS was more or less within the green threshold, but around the end of April, CLS started to spike a little bit here and there. Is this the case for all templates? No clue. Let's find it out. Category, product detail. There we go. So product detail page is the one with some CLS issues on the 90th percentile. You can also see it per bucket here. So if I would click on CLS on the 90th percentile, it's at 0.26, so that's not rendering for P90. So there's a ticket for me. Going back to all the templates and then to the metrics table. This is more or less the same as it was, but this is where I start with reporting, because now I have all the insights in one glance. So currently looking at Core Web Vitals by template type, but I might want to look at Core Web Vitals per browser, because Safari started to use more Core Web Vitals as well. So last 28 days, you could see that Safari is having an LCP of 2.1, Chrome 2.4. Also a small difference in the IMP, but not that big. The only metric they are not supporting yet is CLS, which is unfortunate. Doubting if they will ever do this, but yeah, we should also be thankful that they've even taken the time to implement other metrics like time first byte. Pretty much every metric except this else CLS. So pretty nice. But we can also filter this by whatever we want. So if is a user in an in-app browser, yes, no, Google search app, Facebook browser. So if you're advertising on Instagram, sometimes the browser will open up via Instagram itself. What else? device memory, device model. So you can go crazy on this dashboard. You can see there's a ton of metrics out here. Going back to template type now, because that's always my starting point, looking at the template type and then diving into that template. So there's the technical dashboard. This is where you can do a lot more than on the metrics table. It's also where a small learning curve might be needed, right? Because you have metrics you can select. So for this use case, let's go to the interaction to next paint. Let's do last 7 days because that's more accurate. And then we can see all the IMPs for specific templates. So curious about why the IMP is high on the homepage, I can select homepage, and this is where I can start to debug. So I've now selected this, and this is now an active filter. So I can see what's been going on over the last 7 days. You can change the time zone, date range, show events to see if there's enough events to rely on, thresholds to see are you close to the green. There's also a feature which I find really interesting because sometimes you might want to see a line graph for multiple templates. So I can lock this and then select template types or any other metric that I want to see in this one. So I can see if there's trends on different templates as well. Let's go back to just home. Down here, we can also see some histograms, percentiles. So you can see 70% on the homepage is having a good IMP, but after the 70th percentile, it starts to drop. This one is really nice because this is allowing us and also our MCP to give you a really good context on where to debug, because with a click, there's a lot of stuff happening, but you don't know what exactly. So by looking at a breakdown of a metric, in this case, the interaction to next paint, you can also see where a lot of the time is being spent. So generally, the issue on the homepage is presentation delay, processing duration, but input delay is rarely a factor for high IMP. So this is already a hint for me where I should be looking. There's more of this data down here in a different view. But in order to debug this, you can start adding filters. So I've now selected the home page. And again, there's a whole a lot of features I can start to use. So with IMP, my usual workflow is to use metric element because I want to know what people are interacting with. So on the home page, people tend to start using the search and hashtag SVG2. I believe from the project, because I've worked on this a little bit, this is the hamburger menu. So search and hamburger menu are the ones to focus on because they are having a high IMP. For this webinar, I'm going to use on the search because I've also chatted with my MCP, which I'm going to show in a bit about the search one. So click this. And then there's more, because when you click on an element, there might be stuff happening on the main thread. So what I tend to do is start using LOAF. It's the Long Animation Frames API. It's pretty nice because this allows us to see which script was blocking the main thread during an interaction. So I want to know which script that is or which script host name. And then I can see it's mostly Sentry related. And this might be because they are using a wrapper. Could also be that Sentry is logging way too much. Not sure. But we can figure this out or ask Alex. And then you can also see the scripts. It's probably just a Sentry script. Yep. So this is where we need to look at when we start debugging. So my usual workflow would be to go to the home page, start clicking on the search button with my performance tools open, do some CPU throttling and see what happens. There's also different ways of doing this. Grandruijn is one of our test domains, so I've closed some slow element interactions already to verify fix, but the search to do was also in this. That was a little bit fast maybe, but to make it easier for you, we've introduced a health check, because clicking too much on the technical dashboard might costs too much time. It's still really useful if you need to dig deeper, but we try to do this as much for you. So for example, yeah, Hank, it's recorded. So for example, they are having an LCP fetch priority missing. So this is the health check, and this health check is creating to-dos. So you can see on page template product detail for mobile, the LCP image is fetched without a fetch priority high on most page loads. So yeah, that's already a pointer. It's also the case on product detail for desktop, category for desktop, home for mobile, home for desktop. You can see we fixed it on some pages already. So you can see it's auto closed, but those 5 might still need attention. So this is really easy health check, but we've still written an in-depth article. So you can see LCP fetch priority about this check. So it explains why we are checking this, what the results of fixing this might be, and how to fix it. This is not all, because we also have a playbook for Claude. So it's also telling you how to fix it if you've used this health check as a starting point. But it's really nice to have a documentation of how to fix certain things. You can also get a detailed overview via here, but yeah, pretty much the same, but then a little bit minimalized within the tool. You can also drag this. Did not know, but if I'm bored, I will. And then we have a link to the technical dashboard. And this is nice because if I just click this technical dashboard, it's going to the technical dashboard for me. Oh, I already had a filter active, I would say. Check. That was my bad. So you can see template type, product detail. So this is the health check we clicked on. And the group by is grouped by priority. So you can see that the LCP for product detail page has 99.68% of the times it has no fetch priority. Okay, useful, but we can also go a little bit further by typing metric element. And then we get the exact element where the fetch priority high is missing. So you can see in this case, it's 2 elements. You can copy this to your DevTools, look for it, and verify if there's no fetch priority high on it. If there's none, I would say it's a no-brainer to add this because it's literally 1 line of code. It's not even a full line, but yeah, that's a big no-brainer. Going back to the health check real quick. CLS element moved, those are fixed, but it's also telling you which elements are shifting around still. So the HTML footer page, blah, 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 on desktop is contributing to CLS. So again, there's an in-depth article, a detailed overview, and a link to the technical dashboard. It's already closed, but whatever. Let's click on it. Okay, so, misclick. So you can see that this is closed because it was very little events, but this element is pre-selected, and then you can see it's mostly on the checkout. So it might still be worth looking at, but we use a specific threshold for the health checks, right? Because we don't want to create health checks on very little events. And I think this is just below the threshold we've set, and that might be the case why it's auto-closed. But yeah, they can now start looking at the checkout page for this one, even see during which load state it happened. So complete and DOM content loaded. But this is only happening when the load state is complete, not when the DCL, so DOM content loaded. Vlads. So that's the point of our health check. So you can walk through all of them, open them, view details, click to the technical dashboard, and figure out why your website is slow and why it might be fast. One thing we also do here is we start looking for issues on the 75th percentile, but as soon as you fix them for that percentile, we do the same health check, but we are a little bit more strict. So we start using the 90th percentile to see if people with slower experience are still having issues with the same issue. So we keep you motivated to make you optimize not just P75, but also P90 because it should be achievable with a modern stack in the current state of mobiles. It also depends a little bit on where you're selling your products, but in the Netherlands and Western Europe, it should be easier to get P90 than another country. Small sip. Third parties. Let me do something. Okay. This is maybe a little bit heavy on our... Oh, no. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we also have a third-party dashboard, and that third-party dashboard is showing you which third parties you're using on your website and what their impact on IMP might be. So we are using LOAF and execute time for this. Cannot go back because I saw some host names, but for example, we can see that a lot of our clients are using cookiebot.com, and some are having a fast experience, some are having a slower experience. I think it's mostly configuration related via cookiebot. But what is nice, if you see you're using a specific third party like a CMP, analytics, A/B testing, chat widget, you can go to a benchmark. And this benchmark will show you, anonymized obviously, but experience from other tools within the same category. So those are CMPs. And it's using RUMvision data. So we can see that a lot of users are also using CookieYes. And CookieYes has an average impact of 177 milliseconds. CookieScript 338, Acceptio 209. So this enables you to look at all other third parties, maybe reconsider your third parties, because you don't want your website to be slow by some code you have zero control over. Competitors, pretty damn cool, I would still say, because you can easily get an overview of how your competitors are performing. It's based on Crux data, so not every one of them is a RUMvision client, and if they would, we would not expose their data to their competitor. But this is just data you can get for free via Google. We've just put a nice UI around it. For example, Grand Cru Wijn is at P5, but I have to admit, a lot of them are really close to each other, like they are 93, number one is 97. But if we look at why, it's probably because of the time to first byte. You can, for your competitors, so Bottle Hero or Bovino would say, Bovino might be a good competitor for them because they're also serving the Netherlands. All right, this is for Alex and Grand Cru Wijn, this might be a good signal because their time to first byte has dropped to 945 milliseconds. You can also get a more detailed overview of this domain to see if other metrics has gone up over the past few months. Yeah, obviously times first byte, FCP and LCP. So if I turn those off, you can see the trend is moving with the other metrics as well. We can also compare all of our competitors at once. It's a little bit hectic timeline, but for example, I want to know which clients are having a high CLS. We can see that Boonstra Wijnen is the one with a really big CLS, so 0.38. So I use this to see how competitive the market might be for my client and whether their clients are also working on performance. And a giveaway often is, and this is speculating, but they dipped their performance and it took them quite some time, almost 5 to 6 weeks, to start noticing, and I can tell that they are also improving time to first byte already. So my bet is that Bovino is not using a RUM tool because they had to wait 28 days for data. If Grand Cru Wijn had a drop in performance, they would have received an alert, fixed it right away, and then it would not even impact the Crux data set because this is a 28-day aggregate, as you can see right here. So alerts, they have some alerts set up. Pretty straightforward. You can just create alerts, get a Slack message, email, whatever you want when a performance metric is spiking to a threshold you've set yourself. There's reports. We are making reports an opt-in or opt-out, sorry. So I think it's happening this week. So all of your domains will get a report to you, and then you can start opting out, because we noticed not a lot of people are using reports, and we did ask them why, and they told us, I never considered that. And when we tell them, they always turn it on. So that's why we are turning them on for you. So don't get crazy next Monday. Look, search IMP. So let's check if it worked, Alex. But annotations, most of you that are working on a website are making a lot of changes, adding a third party, disabling the quote module, catalog search fix. And we want to know if they have an impact. And yeah, you have RUM, so why would you not? So they are adding annotations with every release. You can see this is done via the UI. So Alex created an annotation via here. He did some things. So that's pretty cool. Going to, no, it might be now. But there's also a way of using our API. So we have an API for annotations. So showing you the documentation real quick. Annotations post. So within your code pipelines, you can use the API to send a title, description, impact ad, category slugs, and the domain it has affected to RUMvision, so that you don't need to manually put everything yourself, but with every release or push or whatever we call it, there will be an annotation automatically added to RUMvision. So if you're in this webinar and you have RUMvision and you work for more than 2 or 3 clients, I would really recommend setting up the annotations API. And that is handy because oftentimes when we see dips in performance, we don't know why. We don't know. Is that from a song? Okay, so when we're at the technical dashboard and you have added an annotation, you have this little fella over here. So click on it, and then you can see all the annotations they've done. So let's see. Oh well, move cookie bot to GTM, July 10th, 2025. Let's see if this made an impact. So it's now picking a date before July 10th and a date after. So you're comparing performance from before and after this annotation. This is on desktop, so nothing crazy. CLS, not expecting anything out there. Yeah, 40%, but that does not mean anything when you're talking about 0.06. Maybe for IMP, this would be where I expect things to improve. So after this annotation, we can see that the line is a little bit lower than before. They've also disabled the quote module around this time. So not saying that there is evidence that the site got way faster by doing a minor change, but you get the point. So click on your annotations, compare, and you will have it on your timeline to see if it has an impact. And sometimes you expect it to have a higher impact, but every small victory should be celebrated. Okay, I think it's time for the MCP, because everything I've done within RUMvision now can also be done via your agent. And I've already done it because we then are not looking at waiting time for the MCP. So you can use this now. I'm going to show you where it is at, but this is what I've been doing. So first of all, I installed the MCP and asked if it can access Grand Ruwijnen. I've enabled MCP access for Grand Ruwijnen. Then it says yes, blah, blah, blah. And then I want to fetch the last 28 days of data for LCP, CLS, and IMP. So just like looking at the graphs, I've pulled them into Cloud, and it rendered a line chart for me. And this is data straight out of RUMvision. And I've asked it to also do P75 and P90. So this is pretty nice for me to get an overview if I'm working in my terminal or just my regular chat. Then it comes with some conclusions itself. So no metric shows a concerning trend or spike. So, all right, that's good. They are all within the good with, LCP P90 is the one to watch. I can also get it in a table view. This is not magic, but yeah, this is giving me a nice, quick idea of where I should be looking at. This is time to first byte because I know Grand Cru is having some time to first byte issues. So we can see that the home is really fast on P75, but on P90 it's not. The categories, the one, although it's pretty close, but category and product detail page are pretty close to each other with samples, events, and they are having a high time to first byte for P75 and P90. So that's nice. You can also pull in the health checks. So I've asked what are some outstanding health checks, and this is where it's up to you, because I've no connection to this client's Jira or whatever ticketing system. I've no access to their code, but I'm pretty sure you can ask it about the outstanding health checks, send it to your, going to assume you're using Jira, send it to Jira, create tickets, connect the right developer to fix this. So you have your whole workflow with health checks within the MCP. And in this case, you can see that, as we've seen in RUMvision as well, they are having some LSP fetch priorities missing. It's telling me which tool I've used because I've instructed it to do so. Then I've asked what else can the RUMvision MCP do. Give me a tool overview because I want to show you which tools we are having. So query metrics, query a timeline, cross-tabulate 2 dimensions at once, so you can ask more data in one call. Get diagnosis. Erwin, our CTO, has written a playbook for each metric. So, so we've instructed Sonnet 5 in this case to use our playbook when you start debugging. And that is what you can see right here. So there are no open issues or health checks for IMP, but is every element that's being clicked fast already, or are there some elements that have more than 300 events over the last 7 days that are having a high IMP? This is where I know the health check dashboard is at. And then it's telling me, looking at the last 7 days, filtered over 300 events, blah, blah, blah. This is what I can see. So people are allowing the cookies a lot, but this happens really fast. So 80 milliseconds at P75, 129 at P95. SVG circles fast. But we can then see what we see in RUMvision as well is the search input. So this is already at 249 milliseconds at P75, and it goes even higher at P95. So then it's telling me blah, 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 search is this and that. It's also looking at that. So the usual AI conclusion. So I then ask, if you have access to the code of this project via this chat, could you figure out how with extra RUM submetrics data, what is the cost and how the code might fix this to be below 200 milliseconds. Then it's already looking at some more data. It's going to look at the LOAF data, so the Sentry we've seen. It's going to look at the breakdowns, so you can see the presentation delay is dominant. So this is where I should be looking at. Invoker type event listeners. We don't have too much time anymore, so I'm not going to read all of this. Then I ask, considering the MCP connections I have, give me a list. What should be a good way to debug the search? So I have Claude in Chrome, I have MDN, I also have some web skills from Google. I think it's a skill.markdown. But what I asked it to do is, or at least it even suggested it himself, to use Cloud in Chrome to open the website, focus on search, type a query, and read the console. So with the Cloud in Chrome MCP server, I can also get a DevTools trace and explain Claude, or have Claude explain to me what it's seeing. So it came up with some things, and when you do this, an actual Chrome browser tab will open up. You will see an orange cursor and it starts doing things on the website. But yeah, the console shows browser Sentry. For some reason, firing 4 duplicates. RUMvision has already started before, so it might be the case that they have multiple RUMvision scripts. Could also be that Cloud in Chrome is casting this. Okay, so this is also what I figured out with Alex last week. So very informative. Per keystroke, the page fires one tweak-wise autocomplete Ajax call. 4 full-size uncached product images loading straight into the drop-down. So not sure anymore, but as soon as you started typing, the page would already start loading all the products that might match the letter P. A better tactic might be to only have it search after 2 characters, or if you've stopped typing for so many milliseconds. So that is already a good suggestion. So that the image thumbnails in the search bar are also really big, I believe. So okay, Alex fixed it. So pass. Now it's only happening at 3. So it's a really small thumbnail, right? It's 190 by 190, but it's using the full. Is also really big, but it's a 1.2 megabyte image, 2 by 2. So it might be smarter to use thumbnails over there instead of the whole image. So that is a decent finding it had. So didn't spot that myself. Microsoft Clarity Beacon also fires on interaction. Bonus finding. Thank you, sir. Oh, that's about the RUMvision script. Okay, the dominant cost isn't Sentry RUMvision, as I guess. It's decoding 4 2000 by 2000 product images down to 187 by 187. A lot of technical stuff you might want to read or just follow instructions. So it gives some concrete fixes here. But then I started challenging Cloud a little bit because I think not only network things are having issues with or causing issues with IMP. I also want to see what main thread activity might be causing this. So then it comes up with low of duration, on resize, typing opens the search dropdown, which changes the page layout. So repainting the page. Something on the page reacts to that layout change by firing a synthetic window resize event. A resize handler runs Sentry wrapped in the trace, doesn't mean okay. Request animation frame. So in my opinion, if you had access to the code, which Alex had last week, he used those instructions within his code, and then it came up with some decent fixes. I still think we need to look at the fixes themselves instead of blindly letting Claude do stuff. So yeah, this is my way of using the MCP. I'm really shitty in prompting. I just type whatever I'm thinking. I don't look at spelling for my prompt. I don't look at grammar, although for this webinar I did a little bit, but it made me a little bit lazier, or it's going to make me a little bit lazier. But I also think with this and RUMvision's data, you can get a lot of fixes. Use some other MCPs like Chrome or Cloud in Chrome. Use the MDN because then MDN MCP, they've announced this 1 week ago or so. Or oh no, no, they did. Then it's going to tell you which APIs might be worth using for a specific issue. So I think we are in a really good time to start using this. And this is all irrelevant for now. Going to close the MCP, and then I'm going back to the webinar. So as promised, I had some practical insights. I want to leave some time for the questions afterwards, so might be going really quickly through this, but it will be recorded. I can send you the slides. I can have a call with you if you want. But this one is quite interesting. Is declarative partial update. So what the page is doing, it's render what matters first, fills in the rest later. So it makes it possible to place HTML fragments into the page later without relying on heavy JavaScript. If I see without relying on JavaScript, I get excited. So if you are a multi-page application like Magento, Shopify, probably Magento or Shopware would be a better use case, you might want to look at this because it's prioritizing the HTML that matters most to the user, and it's enabling you to do the rest of the components later. So sort of an island architecture within a MPA. Container timing, this is quite new already, I think. Yeah, what's new is relative, obviously, but 6 to 8 months or something. But we have largest contentful paint. That's telling us the largest element on the page. We have element timing. So if I disagree with the large contentful paint, for example, I also want to know when my price is being visible for the user. I put an element timing on the pricing HTML, so I get to time when the price is visible. But you also have container timing. So if you're dealing with containers, like you can see in this visual, you can put a container timing around the component, and then you can see when the component actually appears. So now we have LCP, element timing, and container timing. So I believe the biggest use case for this was presented during Performance Now last year, and it was Bloomberg. And yeah, Bloomberg is one crazy Bloomberg screenshot application. So yeah, they have this big dashboard. So they don't want to know the LCP only, which might be company search. They don't want to know when the word target is visible, but they want to know when the whole container is visible. So they were big ambassadors for container timing. It takes some time. You need to implement this yourself. You can do this, or at least RUMvision supports it. So if you add container timing, you can add it in RUMvision as well. And then we start timing that. So that is really promising, especially if you have some specific cases. And this one is really, really nice because we talked about speculation rules already. So with speculation rules, you have prefetch, which I think is a little bit lame. It doesn't get me started, right? So it only downloads resources, but it does not render the page. So it makes the navigation to that page faster, but not by a lot. So there you have pre-render. So it fully loads the page, renders the page before the navigation. So JavaScript, images, CSS, blah, blah, blah. But there are some downsides because analytics, it might also trigger analytics. So there's a new one, and that is pre-render until script. So this starts parsing and preparing the HTML and then passes at the blocking script. So it's not firing analytics scripts. It's more aggressive than prefetch. So if you cannot use pre-render yet because it's too aggressive, a lot of stuff with analytics going on, pre-render until script might be a good savior. Yeah, as it states, lower risk. Performance mindset. Prepare what you can safely, but avoid executing too much too early. Beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of non-believers for performance out there. My colleague Roderick posted something this morning, and people commented with some good questions, but there's a lot of non-believers out there. But luckily, John Mueller from Google posted something about Core Web Vitals and performances of Core Web Vitals and conversions as well. And Shopify also did a big research recently, and they saw that every 100 milliseconds of slower load time is linked to around 3.5 lower conversions or better conversion rate in that context. Store loading in 2.5 seconds converts about 30% lower than one in 1.5 seconds. IMP, so slow interactions, also have a measurable impact on performance. And this is Shopify. They are not really open about how they've done this, although I would not assume they're lying about those numbers. It's not if you scrape off 100 milliseconds off your page load, you will not necessarily get 3.5 seconds. But there's more percentage, but there's more and more and more evidence leading up that faster website equals more conversions. And I think with a tool like RUMvision, it's not even taking that much time to achieve better results. So yeah, obviously use RUMvision. And I'm really thankful to Brandgruwijnen. They allowed me to use their data, which is not everyone wants to share their data. So I asked them if there's wine drinkers in the chat, if they could create a discount code, sort of a thank you that I could use them and a little bit of promotion. So yeah, if you love wine and you're in the Netherlands or Belgium, you can receive 7% discount with discount code RUMvision at grandgruwijnen.nl. So it's Thursday, so it's almost weekend. So yeah, go ahead. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to tell. So if there are questions, drop them. Yeah, let's do a little quick Q&A maybe. Oh. Let me put this here. And thanks for joining if you're now leaving. Silence. Hello? Perfect. Thanks, Sander. You're welcome, Karsten. And if you have questions, you can email me at jordi@rumvision.com. If you already use RUMvision, please start using our MCP. Look at the API, and I totally forgot to mention, but we also have an API for getting data out of RUMvision for your own dashboards. Wouter from Elgentos has already sent me some screenshots that he's put RUMvision data on his client's dashboard. So I hope to see more and more people using the API and MCP, and also send me results. Yeah, nice. The search should be fixed now, right? Not sure what you did, but it said search fixed. So yeah. Thanks, Anna, for joining. Speak to you soon. Thanks, Clyde, Bram, Carlos. Yes, jou ook bedankt, Lodewijk. Thank you, Mitchell, for joining. Let me put this in the chat. Help Center. MCP. Here's the documentation for the MCP. Thanks, Alexandru and Pavel. Nice to meet you yesterday. Remove. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I will end the stream in 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe someone is lagging behind and has some questions still. All right, bye-bye. Cheers.